Hey Lama, thank you for being here tonight with us. It's wonderful to have you. I think we have everyone on here and at the center is knows you, and we're happy to have you here. We had Lama Losang Yeshe here for a special treat on our Buddhism Basics class last week. So it's nice to have you with us as well.
So I understand that he was talking about the talking about
The wheel of life.
the wheel of the wheel of existence, or the wheel of
Yes.
life. Yeah, and we can go over any particular questions you may have about that teaching as well. I know there was some questions that may have come up that we will address along the way, so we can do that as well. That is, really one of the first images that they didn't really have images of the Buddha in the shrines in the monasteries. They did have the wheel of life really on the front of the monasteries that explained the Buddhist teaching in a graphic, form. So we can talk a little bit about that too. It's a very old way of talking about the Buddha Dharma. So, but you mentioned the Year of the Dragon, and we just had Losar, which means the new year. That's what the Losar means. And so we're embracing the Year of the Dragon, 2024. And in the Tibetan astrology and the Chinese astrology both, there is a 60-year cycle. There's the 12 animal symbols, and there's 5 elements. And so each of the 12 animal symbols can be represented by one of the 5 elements. So this year, it is the wood dragon year. Male green is the color associated with wood element. And it is a yang year, there's yin and yang. So it's a very dynamic year. And so we can talk about that. So in Chinese astrology and Tibetan astrology, the dragon stands out as a very majestic and mystical creature. And those born in the year of the dragon are seen as ambitious and courageous and passionate. And in China, and Tibet too, but in China, the emperor, the image for the emperor, kind of is the 5-toed, not toad like frog, 5 toes like we have on our foot, a 5-toed dragon. And the yellow emperor, it's the yellow color, earth emperor. So his robes were yellow with dragons on them. And that was the symbol of the emperor of China. And the yellow emperor, what was 5,000 years ago, it was the time that traditional Chinese medicine really came into existence. And there's the scriptures for Chinese medicine came from a dialogue of Chipo, who is the physician to the yellow emperor and the yellow emperor Wang Di. So the overview of the dragon zodiac sign, astrology, the dragon stands out, as we were saying, for kind of majestic and mystical creature. And the dragon is the only mythical creature in the Chinese zodiac, and that symbolizes exceptional power and prosperity. And so this is we haven't had a wood dragon for 60 years. I was saying that there's 12 signs and there's 5 elements. And so that's 60 if we do 12 times 5. So the last time we had a wood dragon year was 60 years ago. And there were significant changes over that period of time, obviously. And the Year of the Dragon is expected to bring about a wave of energy and transformation. And this year will usher in significant societal changes and shifts with innovations and new ideas taking center stage. And globally, there'll be significant, and expect a surge in movements towards progress and change, mirroring the dragon's trailblazing spirit. So it emphasizes really career and the finances. So as we navigate through the Year of the Dragon, 2024, it's not just the zodiac signs influencing we'll be experiencing, but also beginning a new feng shui period. And this period lasts from, as I was saying, 2024 to 2043, and is associated with the fire element and represents light and energy and activity. It's going to be a very dynamic year. It amplifies the potential for significant career advancements and financial opportunities. It's a good time for entrepreneurs. It's a good time to start new projects or careers, or take a chance to develop kind of a new path in your life. And it will emphasize technology and innovation. You know, we'll see lots of change influencing technological advancement and innovation. Careers in technology, software development, digital marketing, and certainly AI, artificial intelligence, are likely to see substantial growth. We can always see that happen, but this year it's really going to be a huge new industry. And so creative industries will thrive, and entrepreneurships and startups will be that spirit will be at a particular all-time high. So this is an auspicious time to launch startups, and especially those focusing on innovative solutions and creative services. So, you know, it's a good time to really pay attention and consider what your goals are, you know, and be sensitive to your intuition and dreams and things like that. And this is the time to take action on those dreams. So, you know, in general, as we were saying, in terms of optimal careers, tech innovations and IT, the specializations, technology will continue to lead the way. Careers, IT, cybersecurity, all those things will really have significant innovations and are likely to be highly rewarded in this year. So creative professionals, artists, designers, writers, entertainers, those kinds of things, and medicine also will be showcased. Healthcare, in particular, and wellness. You know, there'll be a big emphasis focusing on well-being and careers in healthcare, mental health, and holistic wellness will be valued. And we'll also see that when we talk about, this innovations, environmental and renewable energy fields, you know, professionals in environmental sciences and sustainability. We can see the trend progressing in that way, but it's really, again, going to be taking off. When we talk about renewable energy sectors, will play a key role in the global shift towards greener solutions. So the Year of the Dragon will be very significant in that regard. And let's see, what else? In Chinese medicine, the wood element is associated with the liver, and the liver has to do, you know, in its positive side with patience and perseverance, but in the dark side, it can be aggressive and anger and that yang energy. If it's, it can lead to conflict, you know, so, you know, we're already seeing wars and threatening situations around the planet. And unfortunately, if that isn't held in check, we could see much more aggression in world politics. And this will continue to crescendo. And in November, we could really see quite a time when we come to the elections and those kinds of things. So we do want to take care of our health and our mental health and stay active and, you know, maintain balance so you don't get overworked and too tired. You know, your sleep is going to be important to maintain energy. So balance your work and your rest accordingly. And things like yoga and martial arts like Tai Chi, those kinds of things can be particularly beneficial. And mindfulness practices, our meditation to stay grounded during this time will also be an important aspect for our mental health. As is diet, we have to remember that the energy needs to be focused. We mentioned the liver being associated with the dragon, and the things that affect the liver, like alcohol and drugs, those kinds of things. You have to be careful about not indulging in those kinds of things when the liver is vulnerable. But also in the system of medicine, it's associated with the eyes and vision. So and vision not only with our physical eyes, but insight and being farsighted and looking into the future, those kinds of things. So that's why I say be sensitive to your dreams, and it has to do with planning and decision making. In both Tibetan medicine and Chinese medicine, the body is seen as a kingdom, and each of the organs has a particular role to play in this kingdom of our body, mind, spirit. And each of the organs is seen like a minister in the kingdom. And the liver is the official of decision making and planning and acting like a general in the field. So we want to be have that vision, to be able to see down the road, to be able to plan and make decisions. And this will be a particularly valuable time to do that, and will be particularly strengthened. So be sensitive to those things. So you can set ambitious goals, embrace the dragon's boldness. As I was saying, the dragon symbolizes ambition and courage. So you can set some bold, challenging goals for yourself. And it may be a significant career leap. So don't be tenuous, don't be shy. Go for the gusto, and this is the time to really embark on your personal transformation, and let the dragon spirit inspire you. So, expand your network. This is all a good time for that. And, certainly focus on your personal development for growth and personal development. So prioritize health and well-being. Those people in the health field will benefit as well. Acupuncture, this is a good time to use that as a healing method, and those people who are involved in the healing arts in that way is good. Massage therapy, balance is the key. So in this bustling energy, don't neglect your physical and mental health, and incorporate wellness practices into your daily routine to maintain balance and vitality throughout the year. Okay, any questions about anything so far? That gives you, I think, maybe a little insight into what you can expect. It started with the new moon on February 10th. That was the beginning of the Chinese New Year, and that is the beginning of the energy of the dragon, the wood dragon. This is it's based on the Lunar New Year.
Lama, can you talk a little bit about the implementation, the effect of karma around this time of year?
Well, it's the same, as far as karma goes, it has to do with our intention. And so because the dragon is, associated with power and strength and good fortune, and represents royalty, the emperor, as I said, it's the symbol of the emperor, and that is basically wisdom and prosperity. Therefore, a dragon year brings good fortune, power, passion, and new opportunities, but we do have to know how to use that power. And we can use it for good. It can be very exciting, creative, and transformational, but depending upon our intention, our motivation. So it's an excellent time, as I said, to start new businesses. And but when we talk about right livelihood and those kinds of things, to really keep in mind the benefit of being. So we're doing this not only for our own evolution, but for the benefit of all beings. And the wood element, if we do have the foresight, insight, and vision to create some good things for ourselves, that will hopefully manifest as good karma for ourselves, because it would be benefiting many people. But when we think of the larger karma, on a planetary level, we can expect extreme earth changes, such as earthquakes and tidal waves and volcanic eruptions. And there can be extremes in the stock markets and fluctuations in prices and financial struggles. So how we navigate those waters is going to be very important. That's why I say you have to be grounded. You have to do your practice so that you don't get knocked off balance with those changes. The element wood, as I said, is like a plant growing in the springtime. It's making this wood element for quick growth and development. And there can be breakthroughs and changes, and they can be fortunate. But if we make wrong turns and make some wrong decisions, they can also lead in the wrong direction. So that's really what karma means. It is activity. So what is your activity? There's lots of room for growth and well-being, but there's also the possibility, as I mentioned, with the negative emotions of anger and aggression to lead if we're not careful. So that is, we have to be careful.
Thank you.
Okay, so that's that on the idea of the dragon year. It's very different from the year that we just came out of. The water rabbit year is very different from the wood dragon year. So it can be volatile, but it can be very expansive. And as I say, if you're an entrepreneur, lots of energy to really make your dream come true. But it won't happen on its own. Of course, you have to activate it. But hopefully with the insight and a steady discipline and still, working with our Buddhist wisdom, we can really benefit ourselves and others this year.
We have one question, Lama.
Yes.
So when you say it can be volatile the year, is it something that could possibly affect like relationships too?
Yes, that certainly can. We have to be steady and grounded and have the right attitude of patience and loving kindness and compassion for all others, because they're going to be going through this same kind of thing. And if they don't have the tools to use this power, this energy, then it can be overwhelming. So we have to stay grounded, and that means in relationships as well, not to get carried away by the negativities that we have to have compassion and loving kindness for those who are suffering in all the many ways that we can suffer on this planet. And there's going to be a lot of energy, and so it needs to be channeled and harnessed in the right way. Did that answer your question?
Yes, thank you.
Yeah. Okay. Any other questions about that? So I think there was a question about were there any questions that you had about the wheel of existence or the wheel of life that Lama Yeshe talked about?
I think there was just so much going on in short teaching that
Yeah, that's like a whole weekend teaching.
we got
Yeah.
a lot. lot thrown at us at one time.
Yeah, I felt like I was scribbling the whole time, keeping up with taking notes, but it was good. It was interesting for sure. I had never seen the, or really heard much about it. So that was cool for me.
Yeah, the wheel of existence, the wheel of life, is an ancient Buddhist teaching device that illustrates the realms of confusion and samsara, as well as its causes, its conditions, its mechanisms. And it is said to have been created by the disciple Madhyayana, according to the instructions of the Buddha himself, and is traditionally painted, as I mentioned, outside of Buddhist temples as a reminder of the suffering of samsara and to arouse determination to be free of that suffering. And the wheel describes the 6 realms of existence, the temporarily blissful realm of the gods and demigods and humans, and the painful hell realms, and the hungry ghost realm, and the animal realms. Yep, there's the image. And these are not geographic locations, but experiences generated by confusion. And hence the Buddha is depicted as pointing to the moon, on the very top. That's kind of that's a little bit of a different picture than you often see. So usually there is a sun and the moon. The Buddha is pointing the way. But we can certainly use that depiction. The outer periphery illustrates the 12 causal links that create the individual experience of samsara. And next, the 6 large sections that illustrate create the individual experience of samsara. So we have the 12 causal links, and we have what leads to the 6 realms around the hub. And there is a white semicircle illustrating the positive actions that lead to happiness in the higher realms, and the black, the semicircle that, as I say, this is, that's in the center there, that leads to the lower realms, lower existences. In the center of the 3 animals symbolizing ignorance, attachment, and aversion.
Lama, one of the things that I did have a question about is on the top, the skulls that are on Yama's head there, and what is coming in and out of the skulls. Do you know by any chance what what the representation is there?
No, that is an unusual picture, actually. Usually we do see the skulls on the top of the head like that. That is true, but you don't usually see it quite like that. At least I'm not familiar with it like that. So I'm not sure what that representation is.
You talked about the skandhas a little bit, and I think my brain was on overload and I don't think I really understood it. Could you talk about the 5 skandhas a little bit?
Yeah, the skandha is also known as the 5 aggregates. They are a concept in Buddhism that explains the nature of human existence and the components that make up an individual's being according to Buddhist teachings. The 5 skandhas are, the first one is usually we talk about form, and this refers to the physical form or matter of a person, including the body and the sensory organs. Form, or rupa, is number 1. Feeling is the second, and the skandha pertains to the sensations and feelings that arise from contact with the external world, such as pleasure, pain, or neutrality. So we have form, we have feeling, and then comes perception. And perception involves the recognition and interpretation of sensory stimuli that we're experiencing, enabling a person to identify and categorize objects and experiences. And then come the mental formations, And this skanda encompasses mental constructs, including thoughts, emotions, volition, mental activity, and so forth. And so our likes, our dislikes, all those things. And the fifth is consciousness, or vijnana. And the consciousness is the awareness and cognition of sensory input and mental phenomenon or phenomena, allowing for the experience and understanding of the world. So we have those five: the form, rupa, the feeling, the perception, mental formations, consciousness. So again, these are called skandhas, or aggregates, the five aggregates. And according to the Buddhist philosophy, these five skandhas are impermanent and interdependent, as is everything. And by understanding their nature, one can gain insight into the nature of existence and the causes of suffering. So this concept of the five skandhas is central to the Buddhist understanding of the self and the practice of mindfulness and meditation. Yeah. But again, there's a lot that can be said about that. But those are the five. And anything else?
That makes more sense to me. Thank you.
Okay, good. Well,
Another question, and I guess something that Lama Yeshe had mentioned last week, is that the being holding the wheel of life is Yama, and that's actually a form of Vajradhara.
Yeah, it's Buddha. It's a Buddha that holds us in his compassion, but we keep circling around out of our ignorance, but we are always in this perfect realm, this perfect field of wisdom. But because of our delusions, we don't see our own Buddha nature. But we're literally in the belly of it.
And for those that don't know a lot about Vajradhara, can you explain Vajradhara and talk a little bit more about Vajradhara and what the Buddha represents?
Well, really, it is the nature of ultimate reality. That is the primordial Buddha, or even the Dharmadhatu represents. In the Mahayana Buddhism, the term Dharmadhatu is a Sanskrit, or the Tibetan refers to the realm of phenomena and the realm of truth. So he encompasses the fundamental concept that is central to the understanding of reality and existence within the Mahayana Buddhist philosophy. And Dharmadhatu can be understood in several ways. Or the Vajradhara can be, yes, it can be in terms of the expression, the manifestation of ultimate reality, and represents the ultimate nature of reality, which is beyond conceptual elaboration and dualistic thinking. It signifies the underlying nature of all phenomena and the interconnectedness of all things, basically ultimate reality. And also, secondly, emptiness. Within the context of the Mahayana philosophy, he represents associated with the concept of emptiness, the shunyata, and denotes the absence of inherent independent existence in phenomena, and emphasizes interdependence and the lack of an intrinsic self nature. It's the embodiment of emptiness. And the pure nature of mind is also expressed by Vajradhara, and can also be understood as the fundamental nature of mind, which is inherently pure and free from afflictions. And this aspect is emphasized in some teachings, particularly within the context of Dzogchen and Mahamudra practices of Tibetan medicine or Tibetan Buddhism. That's our Buddha nature, this. And the all-encompassing wisdom is associated with the wisdom that perceives the true nature of reality unobstructed by delusions and misconceptions. It sees, clearly, purely. It represents the all-encompassing wisdom and that transcends limited dualistic, understanding. So his profound, multifaceted concept representing the ultimate nature of reality and the interconnectedness of all phenomena and the inherent wisdom that perceives, this truth. So that's particularly this understanding of emptiness and the nature of mind represented in that figure.
Thank you.
So maybe we should talk a little bit about meditation, because that is fundamental. That's really the core of the Buddha's teaching. But if there's any other questions before we go on to another topic, let me know, and we can pursue other avenues.
Sounds good.
Okay. And so Kempo Rinpoche, says as human beings, we all have the capacity to develop a profound understanding, compassion, and wisdom. And this is true whether you are male or female, rich or poor, or whatever your race and nationality, creed, background may be. And this potential is naturally present in each of us. As if we were just talking about Vajradhara. We have that same aspect of all those things that I just talked about is our Buddha nature. But we need a method, in order to first recognize it and then understand it and finally develop it. So we talk about methods of Buddhist practice. We say we listen, we contemplate, and we meditate. So listening, contemplating, and meditating. These are the methods by which we attain, realization. So all Buddhists emphasize meditation, particularly tranquility meditation, shamatha, and insight or vipassana meditation. And these sitting meditation practices differ slightly in different schools, but have the same goal, to tame the mind, so our wisdom mind can shine through. So as we've talked about previously, the Buddha's teaching, it consists of cultivating virtue, avoiding wrongdoing, and taming the mind. This is the teaching of the Buddha in a nutshell. So the Buddha started by sharing, the first the three teachings where he showed the stages of the path to full awakening, the three turnings of the wheel of Dharma that we have spoken of previously, known as the three turnings of the wheel. And this also describes the different aspects of training known as the three yanas. And as you know, yana is a Sanskrit word that referring to a vehicle that can transport us across the river from samsara, suffering, to the other shore of nirvana, liberation. And so the Buddha is teaching are very vast, but we will consider one of the aspects that was taught, concerning meditation, and that is the fundamental way that we attain realization. And, when he first turned the wheel of Dharma after his enlightenment under the Bodhi tree in Bodh Gaya, from his omniscient awareness, he knew that he didn't know, he waited 49 days before he taught. And then after 49 days, he had the motivation to teach, and knowing that the 5 yogis that he had traveled with before he left them to travel on his own, he then developed this middle way. He was skin and bone because of his he practiced in the way that many sadhus or yogis practice, denying their needs. And so the two sides of that, are overconsumption, and the other side of that is really withdrawing. So he developed the middle way, but he knew where those 5 students would be, and he decided to begin his teaching career with them. So he traveled to begin his teaching there. And what he taught primarily in that first teaching, when he first turned the wheel of Dharma, was the Four Noble Truths, which is the foundation of his teachings. And that he also taught Abhidharma, taught the Four Noble Truths. He taught Abhidharma, or Buddhist psychology, and the selflessness of the individual, the Vinaya, all the rules and regs, the proper conduct, and karma, cause and effect, or interdependent origination. But he also taught aspects of establishing the meditative mind through the practice of shamatha and vipassana meditation, which is the topic, that I think we should explore tonight. And these teachings on meditation and other topics in this first turning of the wheel, as I mentioned, are known as the foundation vehicle, Hinayana, Shravakayana, the vehicle of hearers, and the Pratyekabuddhayana, the solitary realizers. And we did talk about those somewhat, but I did this teaching that we did for KTD, this first round of teachings, beginning teachings. I had the good fortune of teaching I think it was the 3rd and 4th sessions, which had to do with the Buddhist life and the 3 turnings of the wheel. So if you haven't listened to those teachings, we're still in the midst of those. There's one tomorrow night. I think Kempo Sanjay is teaching tomorrow night, and you can hear his teaching. And we will continue. There's 10 sessions in all, and I encourage all of you to listen to those. They are good the teachings. These are beginning levels. And then we'll start in, I believe it's April 3rd, with the second round. In fact, I'll be teaching that second round, and it will be on meditation as well. So this will be a little bit of a segue to that teaching that I'll be doing on Wednesday, April the 3rd, to begin the second round of teachings in this program being developed by KTD. And we have some wonderful teachers. Lama Yeshe was one of those, and the Kempos, the Kempo Ujin and Kempo Sanjay and Kempo Ten Kyung, and Lama Kathy and Lama Tom and Lama Yeshe. All of them, we have some wonderful teachers, and they will also be participating in that second round of teaching. So just a little commercial for those teachings, and I hope you can participate in those. But so in that first teaching, he taught on shamatha and vipassana. So we will talk about that tonight. So the means for taming the mind is meditation. And the Tibetan word for the teachings of the Buddha is cho. And literally that means that which is straightened, or that which cures. So in these times of great stress and pain and suffering and sickness, we need a method to tame our mind and to see clearly. So the Buddha said that he was here to end our suffering, and taught that the power of the mind is preeminent and we must train it. So the method for that is meditation. But to begin with, we have to have the right view. It's important to have the right view about why we are practicing meditation in the first place. So this includes practical and theoretical approaches, to our meditation practice. And these two must go together. So we say we hear, we practice, and we meditate. So we need a philosophy to guide our everyday practice, and we ultimately change the way we live by positively changing the way we view the world and our place in it. So some guidelines to meditation to begin with. Emphasis is placed on the importance of meditation. So we have to just start with having the view of the importance of meditation, but we can't truly practice without some basic understanding of the nature of the mind and reality. So the Buddhist teachings guide us in how to become familiar with our own basic goodness, our Buddha nature, which is inherent in everyone without exception. As Rinpoche, as I started out with what Khenpo Rinpoche said about us being human beings and having the capacity to develop this profound understanding, of compassion and wisdom. So the basic meditation technique is called calm abiding, or tranquility meditation, shamatha, in Sanskrit, and Shinei in Tibetan. And the word for meditation in Tibetan is gom, G-O-M, and which means becoming familiar with. So what we're doing, we are becoming familiar with our own mind. And most of us, had not really taken the time to look inward and make friends with our mind. We say my mind, but what does that mean? So the meaning of meditation is directly experience the nature with clear awareness, our mind, and rest naturally in that state without the many distractions of our constant mental chatter. We call it our monkey mind, and I think you know why. And jumping from thing to thing, from thought to thought. So we devote time each day to our meditation practice. So we begin by choosing a place where we will not be disturbed. The place should be quiet and comfortable, and we create a clean and safe and sacred place for ourselves. And of course, we can always, we have in our home, you have a place, at the center, which is a beautiful shrine area, but you can't always be, in the shrine room at the center. So to create a place at home is important. And it just can be a corner in your room or a place where you can have, a good feng shui. It's quiet, it's beautiful to you. You can add a flower, an incense, a picture of your teacher, or some kind of inspirational items that help create a special sacred environment to enhance the beauty and help create mindful attention. So that is a good starting place as well. Of course, you can meditate anywhere, but in the beginning, it's nice to have a place for your meditation, just like we have a place, we eat in the kitchen or in the dining room. We have a place where we sleep in the bedroom. We might have a place where we study, and we have a place where we wash. So in the same way, to have a place where that is what we do there creates the ambiance or the environment, and that we can naturally feel comfortable to take advantage of that peaceful, quiet, beautiful space. So to begin with shamatha, tranquility meditation, also known as calm abiding, is the foundational practice in various Buddhist traditions, particularly in Tibetan Buddhist tradition. So the term shamatha is derived from the Sanskrit and means calmness or tranquility. And the primary objective of shamatha is to cultivate single-pointed concentration and stability of mind, to make it workable, by training the mind to remain steady and focused on the chosen object of meditation. Practitioners develop the ability to sustain attention and reduce distractions. And this is what the Buddha taught initially as the basic tranquility and calmness, of mind, shamatha. I know you've heard this before, and hopefully you are practicing this on a regular basis. But as we continue to deepen our shamatha practice, that leads to the ability to tame our mind so that we can deepen our samadhi and absorption in meditation that leads to insight or the vipassana. But we can't do that without first having the capacity to tame the mind, to keep it steady, and to cultivate the concentration. So as the mind becomes more settled and calmer, mental and emotional disturbances begin to subside, leading to a sense of tranquility and clarity and inner peace. And this is essential to progress, along the path. So meditation is part of the process of directly experiencing the clear awareness of our minds. And shamatha meditation is considered, again, the foundational practice because it helps to stabilize the mind and develop the necessary concentration for the more advanced meditations and practices, such as vipassana, the insight meditation, which we'll come to next. So it is through.
I have a question.
Go ahead.
How long would you recommend that we do shamatha before moving on to a more advanced meditation?
You have to tame the mind first. It's essential. You can't really move on to another meditation until the mind is tamed. It's like training a puppy, to sit.
What I'm asking is, when do you know your mind is tamed so that you can move on to something, the next thing?
Well, when I start teaching meditation, I generally say, 21 breaths for 21 days. To be focused, to be able to, when you're breathing in, you're aware of breathing in. When you're breathing out, you're aware of breathing out. The mind is focused, steady, and you can continually do that for 21 breaths without distraction. Then we can expand that. Of course, then we would let go of the counting, that cognitive process, and just rest the mind and be able to follow the breath without disturbance. In the beginning, there's lots of ways that you can use shamatha, and there's with a subject or with a chosen form or without. In the beginning, to practice using the breath is usually the most expedient thing to do. It's something we always have. You could use an image of the Buddha. You could use a rock or a stone or a piece of wood, anything to focus the attention of the mind without distraction. But rarely can we do that. We're projecting, we're time travelers, I say, we're projecting in the future about this, that, or the next thing, and with all of the worries about this, that, or the next thing, or reflecting on the past with all of our regrets, remorse, what could have been, what should have been. Rarely are we in the perfection of this moment in the now. So this, we have to be present-centered without all those distractions. So if you can do that for extended periods of time, then you can go to a deeper meditation. And, our Yidam practice, we do shamatha, and when we do the Chenrezig, for example, constructing that in the beginning, we do the formation, we visualize the Sattva Chenrezig. So if you can do that without distraction and clearly all of the visualization that we do in the practice, usually we just say the words and we're not aware of what we're doing. Very rarely can we really visualize the Bodhisattva Chenrezig in front of us wearing, in the Sambhoga Kaya form, with his necklaces, with his crown, with his the way he is seated, and all of the rest of it without distraction. When you can do that, that is a sign. If you want to know what a sign is, that would be a sign. And then when we complete that visualization of Chenrezig in the pure realm, and then we do the repetition of the mantra Om Mani Padme Hum, and then we rest our mind in emptiness. We dissolve that into ourselves. That is the vipassana aspect And we are now resting in the mind's true nature of emptiness and are at the clear awareness of our Buddha nature. That is, so those, the Yidam practices are a skillful means really for developing shamatha and tranquility meditation and vipassana. So it is a matter of graduated path. But the Buddha was very skillful in how he taught that. So does that answer your question?
Yes, it does.
Yeah, okay.
No,
I know how that's all very all involved in everything, but from what what you can tell me, I mean, I understand. It makes sense.
Yes, and people want to just go to Mahamudra or go to some other kind of practice, but until you tame your mind, that's really not going to happen. I mean, you may think it's happening, but it's not really happening until you tame your
And
mind.
one of the reasons why I was asking is because I kind of go back and forth between the shamatha and the tonglen, and I
Yeah.
don't know. I mean, I assume that I'm happy with it, but I don't know if tonglen is like a more advanced type of meditation or not.
Well, it is for cultivating bodhicitta. That's its essence. In the Mahayana, we need to cultivate the bodhicitta, and the way we do that, it is another word for that is exchange of self for other. And so we are so used to be so egocentric that we can't get out of our own, our own self. So we begin to take on the sufferings of others, and most people say, "Oh, I can't do that. It's going to make me sick," or we don't really want to do that. But until we do that, of course, you can't take on another person's karma. That is not going to happen. So there's no worry about that. But still, our egocentric point of view, we're all narcissists at a certain level. We just care about ourselves. And until we're bodhisattvas and we see, the emptiness and have developed true compassion for another being, we're pretty self-centered, if we're going to be realistic. But there are practices such as Tonglen where we begin to disengage from this self-aggrandizement and our awareness, of other beings who are also suffering, and we actually have the true wish to benefit others and to remove them from suffering and to give them all of our good karma and see them as the Buddhas that they are and really take pleasure in that, that they're in their well-being. That is the practice of Tonglen. But the shamatha and vipassana is non-cognitive. We're not really thinking about doing anything. We're just resting in the natural nature of the mind, which is empty. Emptiness is the wisdom that comes out of the insight.
Thank you very much.
So is the mind,
there's
yeah.
no, so, practicing something like Tonglen alongside of your Shineng meditation is, from that perspective, that is still something you can be developing the calmness and still doing something like Tonglen meditation as part of your practice.
Sure. Yeah,
and-
Tonglen is a wonderful practice, but for the reasons I said, to develop the bodhicitta, that is the essential quality of Tonglen, is to build our bodhicitta, which is, bodhicitta and wisdom are the two wings of the bird. I mean, we can't be Buddhas with wisdom alone. We have to develop our loving kindness and compassion for suffering beings. So they are equally important. They are just different methods.
And once we begin to notice that our mind is not being pulled here or there, is that a good sign that our Shineng or shamatha meditation is we're becoming more skilled?
Stable, more stable. Yes, that is.
Thank you.
Yeah, as the mind, as we were saying, becomes more settled and calmer, mental and emotional disturbances begin to subside. And that leads to a sense of tranquility and clarity and inner peace. That is what we're shooting for with shamatha. And this is essential. And so I was saying to the progress along the path. And meditation process is directly experiencing the clear awareness of your mind without distraction. And so shamatha meditation is considered, the foundational practice because it helps to stabilize the mind and develop the necessary concentration, for the more advanced meditation practices, as we said, such as Vipassana, insight meditation. And so, but, you can't run before you walk. So we are developing that shamatha to gain deeper insights into the nature of reality and the workings of our own minds. So as I was saying that the shamatha meditation is rooted in Buddhist traditions and has been adopted, and adapted by practitioners of mindfulness. In secular meditation, and the practice of shamatha can be beneficial in reducing stress and improving focus and, cultivating a greater sense of well-being and mental balance in daily life and those kinds of things. But we are not doing it for that reason. I mean, it can lower blood pressure and you'll see all kinds of things, which is wonderful. That's a secondary gain. But our intention is to attain Buddhahood for the benefit of all beings and to tame our mind with that intent. So through calming the mind, we can experience that state of peace and tranquility, which is the prerequisite leading to mindfulness, insight, and wisdom. So it affects every experience in how we perceive the world. As one deepens, this meditative experience, the mind grows calm and patient, relaxed, at ease, and we are able to see more clearly without the distractions of our kleshas, our disturbing emotions. And this does not happen without right effort. So we do have to, we don't see things as they are, we see things as we are. And in that way, our happiness is a choice we make, and we have to persevere in it. So I mentioned, that it's like training a puppy, and I use that example frequently. So, I'll often use the analogy that training our mind is very much like training a puppy. So, and you probably have heard me say that, you say stay, and, does your puppy listen? And we can do that over and over again. We tell our mind to stay, but it just runs off at the slightest distraction. And the puppy is the same way. If the puppy is like my puppy was, still is for that matter, and you say stay, she immediately runs off at the slightest distraction. And but you have to sit the puppy down and go through this training repeatedly. And in training the mind or the puppy, we must start over and over again. That's why I say 21 breaths for 21 days. And if you get distracted during those just 21 breaths, you start all over again. So it's like training the puppy, sit, stay. And we want our mind to be stable. So getting mad at yourself or the puppy does not help. And it does not matter, it's not a matter of force or coercion. You just begin again to tame the mind with patience and perseverance. Training the mind to stay is the essential point. But the good news is the puppy and our mind are trainable, but we have to be persevering and disciplined in how we do that, or it's not going to happen. And as we said, we know our minds are very powerful. And as I said before, the Buddhist teaching can be summarized in cultivating excellent virtue to avoid doing harm and wrongdoing, and totally taming our mind. And it's with this understanding that we engage in meditation to tame our monkey mind. So meditation is mind training. And so we can give further instructions on shamatha, which is practices described, when we're training our stubborn mind or a distracted puppy. It's very similar. The motivation for cultivating, it has to be a regular practice. We have to be consistent. That's important. And once we firmly establish the important place it must play, must take in our lives, our progress is assured. But until we do that, we can say, oh, mañana, I'll practice later. But that's not the way we'll succeed in our meditative practice. It needs to be daily. So that's just how that works. So if you can commit to a daily practice, and it can just be 21 breaths to begin with, but then you carry it out, your mindfulness will expand. When you're taking a shower, be aware of taking your shower. When you're eating, be aware of eating. When you're walking, be aware of walking. With every step you take, can be, a mindfulness practice. So again, along those lines, young or old, the length of our life is unknown to each of us. And how we spend our time is one of the few real choices we can make. So achieving peace of mind is essential. We all want to be happy and have that peace of mind. I would think, if we said, what is the most important thing? I would say it's peace of mind. That's we can achieve this with the proper motivation, discipline, and perseverance in our practice. Any other questions about anything up to now? So I think we'll talk a little bit next about the proper posture for meditation. I'm sure we've gone through this before, but just as a reminder, we'll include 5 positions of the body. And this gives the body the correct and most comfortable sitting position, conducive to meditative stability. And Khenpo Rinpoche tells us that there is a difference between the instructions on meditation found in the sutras and those found in the tantras concerning these postures. So what I'll give to you, or what we'll talk about, are the 5 sutric positions listed below. Khenpo Rinpoche talked about, for example, having the thumb in the ring joint and a gentle fist. There's a reason for that. That has to do with the channels, drops, and winds of the body, and to pull up on the anal sphincter and hold that for a moment and then relax it, and tongue resting on the roof of the mouth. These are all aspects of the tantric application of the Buddhist the postures. But having said that, I'm going to give you the more sutric view. I've also given you now the tantric view as well. The number 1 is to sit comfortably. That's the first way the Buddha taught. He said, sit comfortably. So that's the first instruction. On the floor, if you can, with your spine straight and legs crossed in the Vajra posture or full lotus position. Not everyone can do that, so it's fine to sit in a chair with the spine straight, sitting towards the edge of the chair so that you're not leaning back. Your spine is straight. It's as if you're being suspended from the heavens by a string, and you're straight. So settle yourself, on a comfortable seat. We talked about a safe and quiet place where you will not be disturbed. If you can, again, sit in the full lotus, also called the Vajra posture, or the half lotus posture. Either full lotus posture, that's with both feet, resting on the opposite thighs with the soles upward. And if that is too difficult, to sit in the half lotus, resting one foot on the floor and the other one on the leg, on the thigh. Either position is fine. So you can sit on you have the meditation cushions at the center. You can sit on a small round meditation cushion called a zafu. Those, if you're serious about your meditation, it's good to have a cushion, a zafu, placed on a zabuton, which is the larger square cushion on the floor. Alternatively, you can sit on a rolled up pillow, placed on a blanket or large towel on the floor, but you do want to be comfortable. Another option is to sit towards the edge of a chair, as I mentioned, with your feet flat on the floor, about shoulder width apart. So you want your bottom to be about 4 finger widths, above your knees. So you are sitting up on the cushion. That gives you the best, keeps your spine straight and your sacrum in the proper position. And you're sitting towards the edge of the cushion as well. So bring your body to a position of uprightness and a feeling of straightness. As I mentioned, if you're on the floor, sit on the front of the portion of the cushion with your hips and buttocks about 3 or 4 inches above the floor for the best alignment of your spine. And then over time, you'll find this to be a very stable sitting position. And it's referred to as the position of indestructibility, you know, giving a sense of being well-grounded, immovable, like a mountain. It's a very kingly posture. So that is the first posture that we'll talk about, you know. Any question about that one?
So when we're sitting in the half lotus position, we should have at least 1 foot above the thigh. That's the,
It can be resting on the other leg, you know, on the calf, but it can be on the thigh. In the full lotus, yeah, both feet are sole, you know, the soles are facing upward and they're both on the thighs. But or you can sit in the called the tailor fashion with one leg in front of both legs are on the floor. With one leg in front of the other. It's called tailor posture, which is also fine. But you want to keep the spine straight. That is critical to that. And it's the most comfortable position that I know. I'd much rather sit for extended periods of time like that in the half lotus than to sit in a chair. It's just more comfortable. When I sit in a chair, I often sit in the cross-legged position in the chair because it's just more comfortable.
and
So,
that's, is that okay to sit? That's a good question. Is it okay to sit cross-legged in a chair?
yeah, it's fine. But again, it's good to have your bottom up a little bit higher. Some chairs are slanted in a particular way where it's not comfortable. Your spine, particularly your sacrum is tilted back, and you don't want that. So you do want to be you want your bottom slightly elevated, about 4 finger widths or 4 inches or so above the floor, above the seat of your chair. So that may not be optimal. You know, the important thing is to be comfortable and to keep the spine straight. So the second position is that of the hands. So place your hands in one of 2 contemplative gestures. You can place your hands palm down on your thighs or just above the knees. But often the next position is more traditional. You're placing the hands, the right hand in the palm of the left with your thumbs gently touching, you know, kind of like this. If you see the picture of Amitabha Buddha, he's in that posture with the begging bowl. That is, or in Zen tradition, that is very common. So you place the back of your hand in the palm of your left hand with both palms facing upwards. And if it's resting on your thighs or on your leg, and at this point, the thumbs will be gently touching and your hands will rest about 4 finger widths again below your navel in your lap and touching your thighs or your foot close to your abdomen. And in this posture, your thumbs will be approximately at the level of your navel, with the thumbs touching, and they're approximately pretty much at your navel at this point. So either of these postures is fine. Find the one that's most comfortable and suited to you. But we want the hands in in those postures. You certainly, if you're used to doing the way that Khenpo Rinpoche teaches, with the thumb in the ring joint and a gentle fist, palm down on your knees. So that's the second one, the position of the hands. The third is, again, I've reiterated that many times, but it's to keep your spine straight. Avoid any tendency to lean forward or back or side to side. Relax the belly and shoulders. Feel that you're being gently pulled upward as if by a string from the crown of your head, and make the micro adjustments needed to maintain straightness throughout your sitting practice. Be gentle, don't strain. But sometimes as you continue to sit, you may find your head, your head falling, or you're slumping forward. So you're aware of what's going on internally, you're aware of what's going on externally, and keep that position, of your spine straight. So the next position, the fourth position, is of the head, the neck, the eyes. So we consider the neck, the head, and the eyes. The fourth position is to gaze down at about a 45-degree angle with the eyes half lidded. They are open gently, with a gentle and relaxed gaze at an imaginary spot about 1.5 feet in front of you. You're not really looking at anything. Gazing in this way will prevent looking up and down and side to side. Your gaze is fixed. The eyes are relaxed and gently open, and you maintain that keeping the eyes stable. So we said the eyes are cast down at a 45-degree angle, but your head is on straight. The eyes are just looking down slightly. If you see an image of the Buddha, his eyes may be looking straight ahead. So you can also look straight ahead, but generally our minds are so active that by lowering the gaze, we reduce the thoughts and the agitation. So that's why we usually start with looking down at a 45-degree angle, an imaginary spot. We're not looking at anything, and I would caution you against looking at a spot on the floor, because as you do that, if you're looking at a wood floor, a knot on the floor will change. You'll look like a face. The mind is very facile. It'll think of anything. So you're looking at an imaginary spot in space. I suggest that is the best way to do it. And that's the way the Buddha taught. So I'm not making this up. So I suggest we do it that way.
That red, the old center had a lot of faces in it.
Yes. So a carpet, that's something else. There's always things that your mind can be distracted in. We want to reduce that. But looking down does reduce the activity in the mind. But sometimes our minds are lethargic and torpor sets in. And by raising the gaze, we actually bring our energy up a little bit. So looking straight ahead or slightly forward and up is a way to bring the energy up. If you're, that is an antidote for torpor, for a tiredness or fatigue, if we need to bring the energy up a little bit. And the opposite of that, sometimes we're overexcited, we bring the gaze down. And there's other ways that we can talk about for the antidotes for overexcitement or torpor. But that for now will do. So that is the fourth, looking at the neck, head, and eyes. And the fifth is the chin is slightly tucked in to extend and expand the upper cervical vertebrae. So they're straightened. The chin is slightly tucked in. Tip of the tongue is resting on the roof of the mouth and back of the teeth and the upper palate. So this helps to straighten the upper cervical vertebrae and aligns the head and neck. And this also prevents the accumulation of saliva and frequent swallowing to have the tongue resting in the upper palate and back of the teeth. And relax the jaw. Sometimes you'll see indications for the lips being slightly apart. That is just a way of saying, relax your jaw. So because some people are not accustomed to these different positions, or because of differences in flexibility of our bodies and so forth, some may be able to do the positions easier than others. But whatever the differences, is important to understand these positions, that they be understood, and that we commit to a daily practice of meditation. Correct posture helps the mind find peace and strength and control. And it benefits the physical body by bringing its energies and elements into proper balance and harmony, creating the conditions, for awakening. So this is the way the Buddha taught. Any final questions about that?
The chin tuck, when, so the neck is straight because you're pulling right up to
Yeah,
the-
we're hitting those upper cervical vertebrae. It's not, it's not dramatic, but often when we're walking, we're leading with our head and our chin. So we just kind of bring it back and relax it down. So the chin is slightly tucked in, and that straightens the spine. When you do it, you'll realize what I'm talking about. If you're trying it right now, you can see how that straightens the spine and extends the upper cervical vertebrae, which is really a good thing to do. Most of us are looking down on our phones and we're getting hunchbacked and everything else. So, keep the spine straight. So for those not able, to sit in the above position, you can sit in a straight back chair and sit towards the end of the chair, edge of the chair, as I mentioned, and avoid leaning back. The feet are flat on the floor, about a shoulder width apart. Hands are the same position that we stated, either resting in the lap or on the knees, either way. And experiment with your posture, keeping the back straight, staying relaxed, and observing the other points for your meditation practice, as stated. So as with most things, there is a learning curve. Hopefully most of you are well along in your practice and are familiar with these instructions about proper sitting. But with practice and attention, to the posture details, you will be able to sit comfortably for extended periods of time, which is the point. So of course, we want to remain mindful and vigilant in the beginning of your practice. We monitor ourselves not to be excessively relaxed or excessively rigid, not too tight and not too loose. Often you'll hear the comparison to this balance of correct effort compared to a stringed instrument such as a lute or a guitar. And if the strings are too loose, then and not stretched enough, there'll be no sound. But if stretched too tight, they'll break. So we want our minds and our bodies to be just right, not too loose, not too tight. And the beginning, try not to entertain any expectation about the meditation or its many benefits. Do not think about or focus on acquiring, great abilities or cities and powers. Just do the practice without hope and fear and see what happens. Maintain an open and joyful mind. That is important. And practice, with joyful perseverance and being grateful for this opportunity to have the instruction and to have this precious human birth, and to be at a time when the Buddhist teachings are available. We are so fortunate. So, to begin your practice, with the consideration of the four thoughts that turn the mind to Dharma. That is great as a daily practice in the beginning. The four ordinary foundations, the preciousness of this human birth, its fragileness or impermanence, karma, and the unsatisfactoriness of samsara. So we use our time effectively and appropriately as best we can. Like we said, none of us know how much time we have, and really consider these four preliminary practices and contemplate this precious human birth and how fortunate we are, and how easy it is to lose it. Again, none of us know how long we have. We think we're going to go on forever, but none of us know. I mean, I always frequently say we don't know what's going to come first, death or dinner. And that's how it is. We just don't know. So in the beginning, just practice with a joyful perseverance, but do it daily. It is important to meditate regularly, every day, even if only for a few minutes when practicing meditation. We can begin with mindfully taking, I mentioned 21 breaths for 21 days, and we will begin the process of constructing a new lifelong habit of meditation. And after 21 days, you can begin to let go of the counting and just be mindful of the naturally riding the wave of your breath and staying present and aware. You can also extend the length of time for your meditation practice and add a second session of practice. And so at this point, we begin to strengthen our mental muscle in meditation. So that is really just like when we go to the gym, we will be working on our physical muscles, but here we're working on our mental muscles. And it is probably more important, well, that we work on our mental muscles if we want to have true happiness. We all want to be happy and we don't want to suffer, but it is our mind that will help us take us to the goal. So establish a daily practice. And good to find a time. And people often ask, when is the best time to meditate? The best time to meditate is when you meditate. We all have different schedules, different habits, whether it's in the morning, the afternoon, or the evening, it doesn't matter. The best time to meditate is when you do it. So gradually you're extending your practice time, but it's better in the beginning and to do a shorter time and maybe more frequent sitting, and gradually you can extend the time. So construct a shrine if you don't have one at home, so that it's a place where you feel comfortable and at ease. It may take a little bit to find that correct place. It can be a corner in your bedroom. It can be, anywhere, As in real estate, the three important things to consider in setting up your meditation space are location, location, location. You want a corner or any quiet spot in your home that is clean, quiet, and gives you that natural calm feeling. That will work. And make it attractive, Make it a place where you want to go to. All right, any other final questions? So we've pretty much exhausted our time for tonight. Any final questions?
And from here, Lama.
Okay, I hope this was helpful to you. It's good to remind ourselves about the importance of meditation. It is the fundamental practice, and we need to be able to sit for extended periods of time. And by doing what we've been talking about, we establish, our ability to sit in samadhi and in absorption, which is samadhi is meditative absorption for extended periods of time. But we get the opportunity to watch our monkey mind in the beginning, that is for sure. And gradually we begin to tame it. All right, any other announcements that need to be made?
Just that we're starting our collection for a rummage sale. It's going to take place in the second week in March. We should have a date out soon. But if you have items that, as you're doing your spring cleaning at your home, you can bring them here to the center. If you can't make it up during practice, you just shoot us an email and we'll coordinate a time to meet you.
All right, I want to thank all of you for your attendance and being here. I look forward to seeing you next month. Same time, same station, and we'll dedicate the merit. So at this time, for the peoples and nations of the earth, and for all sentient beings, may not even the names disease, famine, war, suffering be heard. Rather may pure conduct, merit, wealth, and prosperity increase, and may supreme good fortune and well-being always arise in the minds of beings. We dedicate this merit. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Lama.
Thank you, Lama.
Good night.
Thank you, Lama.
Next time. Thank you.
Good night.
See you
Good night.
all. Good
Good
night,
night.
everyone.
Everyone.
Good night.
Good night.